So our athletes will be setting up in a pair of waterfalls, as you can see on our nice establishing field shot. We've got a total of 9 on the near side and 4 on the far. They'll be separated in their alleys for the first lap by those cones in the middle. A rough intro of the field, not accounting for scratches. Ellie Velasquez of Glen Allen, Avery Whitson of Abingdon, Lindsay Meadows of Ocean Lakes, Hazel Wells of Deep Run, Maddie Sawyer of Thomas Dale, Danielle Maynor of Cox, Lillian Davies of Mackie Walker, Isabel Wells of Princess Anne, Vera Chinchilla of Padua Academy, Abigail Crook of Great Bridge, Sadie Flynn of Mills Godwin, Hannah Kate Harrison of Douglas Freeman, Eva Wangan of Ocean Lakes, Caroline Han of Princess Anne, Ada Rolfs of Maggie Walker, Reagan Smith of Abingdon, and Aaliyah Atchison from Douglas Freeman. Our leader is none other than Ellie Velasquez, who was our top seed coming into this 3,200-meter race, and our third top-ranked 3,200-meter runner in the state of Virginia. She achieved her season and indoor personal best at the VA Showcase just 3 weeks ago of 10 minutes, 44.17 seconds. And she almost looks like she's got a bit of a grin on her face right now, really eager to get these morning miles in. She'll be running nearly 2 in total. And the first quarter mile through in around 78-79 seconds. What does that mean, you might ask? Well, that means that she's essentially on pace for a 5:12 mile and a 10:24 mile. So she's looking at a PR by 20 seconds if she can keep that pace going. Ellie Velasquez, the Furman University commit from Glen Allen, Virginia. And get this, nearly every race that she has run this year has resulted in a personal record of some sort. In fact, technically every race that she's run as an individual has resulted in a PR, though she did not achieve a full 2-mile personal best in her VA Showcase run. That's a 10:41.24 from New Balance Nationals indoor. So effectively, that's her 3,200-meter personal best that she's going to look to attack. She still achieved en route personal bests in that VA Showcase 2-mile over the 3K. She even broke 5 in the mile a few weeks ago. The difference is between the VA Showcase and the East Coast Invitational, competition is a little bit slimmer than, let's say, it was a few weeks ago. But she's keeping the pace pretty consistent. That second quarter mile was right around a 80. Velasquez. She's also set a PR this season over the 1K and 2:59. She comes through at 3:17 there for that 1 kilometer split. So running well within herself. How will she do in her solo effort? She's 150 meters ahead of some of the trailers. The chase group is about 90 meters back. A nice 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 group. We'll get a chance to assess that on our next time around. If you're joining us on the world of social media, we've got our Facebook, YouTube, and X/Twitter audience. We are so grateful to have you on for our free live preview of Day 2 of the East Coast Invitational. We'll be taking you up until around 10:30 on this window, and we'll be going for much longer after that on FloTrack. We're happy to say good morning to you in the early stages of Day 2. Next lap by will be our halfway split. Ellie Velasquez has now started to lap competitors. And she almost looks like she's using this momentum to accelerate. Pretty brave of her to go for it in that fashion. Our runner in second place is currently Lindsay Meadows of Ocean Lakes, the hometown Virginia Beach hero, if you will. Trying to hold off the chase group. Now let's check out this halfway split. 5:16 high, just beneath 5:17. All right, so Ellie Velasquez, let's start to contextualize that. We multiply that by 2, that gets us to right around 10:33, 10:34, 3,200 meter pace. And the state leader, Elena Pierce of Charlottesville, has a Virginia #1 time of 10:35.47. As far as the national rankings go, that time is pretty significant as well, as it is US number 11. So a 10:33, 10:34 would place Ellie Velasquez well inside of the nation's top 10 times. She's already, with her 10:44 season indoor personal best, at US number 27. So she's already done a number on the nation. Now looking to perhaps do a little bit more. As for some of her in-state credentials, she competes with Class 6, the largest class in the Virginia High School League, coming off of 2 top 5 finishes the last time she touched a track for states. 4th in the 16 and 3rd in the 32. At the end of the outdoor season, she ended up dropping her best time all the way down to a 10:34. So even quicker than she's gone indoors. Conditions outside, let's say if she were to prefer the outdoor weather, it's about 42 degrees, a little bit rainy right now in Virginia Beach. So if I were her, I'd be grateful to be inside, but again, I am not Ellie Velasquez. I could not call myself a top 5 finisher at the VHSL Class 6 cross-country state meet. And of course, cross-country is elements galore. Less than 5 laps to go. We're in our final kilometer now for Ellie Velasquez. Lindsay Meadows of Ocean Lakes has begun to separate from the chase group, but not by too much. We've also got Maggie Walker's top runner vying for 3rd, Lillian Davies. Ellie Velasquez, you can tell by her slightly slower turnover that she is feeling the fatigue in this 3rd quarter of the race. Now into the final quarter, in terms of percentage, she's got less than 800 meters to go over 3,200 meter run. She just needs to keep breathing, stay rhythmic, stay fluid and relaxed, and hope that that can carry her home to a personal best. We're going to check on the clock and see what she needs for her final 600. She crosses that start-finish line at 8:42, so for an indoor personal best, she's going to need to break essentially 2:02 to get beneath her 10:44 for 3,200 meters, but so far she's shown that she has the ability to crank out sub-40 laps, especially through the first 13 of this 16-lap distance. As she crossed in 8:42, we'll see if she can cross in beneath 9:22 here. It'll be a little bit outside of that, so falling off of that 40-second pace. She needs to find her sprint and spikes in these final 400 meters to get after that time she's looking for. like to see the lap runners, too, almost trying to push her along. Ellie Velasquez, the third fastest in the state of Virginia, now starting to pick up her arms as she hears the sound of the bell, the first of the day on Saturday, day 2 of the East Coast Invitational. Last year, she ran the 1K at this and won the 32 in 10:56:08. The defending champion is going to win again, and by a much bigger margin. The meet record of 10:32:39 is just a bit out of reach. But Ellie Velasquez will come through to set a new indoor best over the 3,200 meter distance of 10:42:63. How about that for the state rankings? That'll make her 2 seconds closer now to Caroline Trebet of Gainesville's 10:40:56 for the number 2 spot in Virginia. But remember where she stood in the nation coming in. At 27, what about now? As we await our next competitors to come in. There's our number 2 runner, Lindsay Meadows of Ocean Lakes. 10:42. Velasquez within now just 2/10 of the number 26 runner in the country, Allison Lee, from New Jersey's West Windsor, Plainsboro North. Here comes our 3rd and 4th runner. They just crossed the line. Maddie Sawyer of Thomas Dale and Lillian Davies of Maggie Walker. They just gave Ellie Velasquez high five. She's high-fiving all of her competition as they come across the line. Again, a lot of these girls she gets the chance to compete against all year round. And so she's likely become good friends with many of them. It's one thing we forget often at the high school level is, though schools ultimately don different kits, different colors, come from different corners of the state sometimes, at the end of the day, a lot of them come here with similar goals in mind. Those may include setting personal records, and many of them have clearly gotten after that. We've still got another heat to come in the girls' 3,200 meter run, and a singular finisher, it looks like, left on the track. She'll be coming into frame momentarily. That is Elena Atchinson from Douglas Freeman. So that'll do it for our first heat. Ellie Velasquez, our winner and personal record setter. 10:42 indoors. So if you did not catch the first heat, it was nowhere near as dense as this second heat appears to be. We've got a lot of schools with matching kits, so we could see some team tactics play out in heat 2 of the girls' 3,200 meters. So 5 on that outside waterfall, but well over 10 on the inside. Seems like a lot of our runners are trying to figure out their place on the track. It doesn't seem like they're very tempted to attack it. It's a lot of times when you're a runner in a big pack, the last position you want to be in the early stages is the lead. And look at just all the hand fighting and contact between runners as they collapse in from the waterfall start. And while you might not want to put yourself out in front like a sitting duck, in some cases like this, when you've got runners having to go 3 wide just to navigate, it might as well be an ideal position for you so you can minimize your distance, set the pace for yourself. Just so happens that setting that pace is probably the most intimidating factor, knowing that the entire field can see and observe the moves that you make. On the inside in red, wearing hip number 11 from Grassfield, that's Caitlin Lonsdale. On her right and our left is Morgan Kimmener of Hickory, and moving up from Abingdon is Aubrey Hubbard in that dark blue kit. She's now taken the lead past 400 meters. This is about as widespread as we've seen the race thus far. Could the field make some moves to get back at her? Hubbard is just a freshman, so you really got to love this move from her. As for her personal best abilities, she achieved a 13:01.62 time at the Bulldog Invitational. That was on the 1st of February at Liberty University. What else has she done? She's gone 6:06.40 over the 1,600 meters, so she's been working on that short end of her range. She goes through 2:22 at 600 meters with about a 10-meter gap on the field now. Trying to keep this train rolling. If she wants to get a personal best, I'd reckon that she'd want to be shooting for a first 1,600 split of around 6:30. She's broken that barrier 3 times in open 1,600s and has proven she can hold that pace up pretty darn even for 32. Here's the chase group. We've still got Kimmener from Hickory in 1 in the black. Lonsdale on her inside, and also Natalie Dye of Grassfield. She's in the 5th place position, now moving up into 4th on the outside. Can anybody catch Aubrey Hubbard of Abingdon, the Falcon? It's ironic, we're a day away from Super Bowl Sunday, and she has a big lead wearing a Falcons jersey. Could she perhaps reverse the fortunes of the Super Bowl 51 Atlanta Falcons? She's coming up to her first kilometer split. Her 1K personal best that we've seen from her thus far is a 3:41.22. She is within 15 seconds of that through her K split. That's less of a gap than we saw between Ellie Velasquez and her 1,000-meter split just a heat ago. Our eventual winner set an indoor lifetime best. So if we keep that common theme, we could be seeing Aubrey Hubbard, the young freshman from Abingdon, chasing after her first ever sub-13 in the 3,200. She leads by about 18 to 20 meters now, if my estimates are correct. The chase group has a couple of pairs, 3 in fact, running side by side with another 2, looking to form that shake-up. Here's 1,200 meters, 4:44. So the next quarter mile from now is when we're going to get our halfway split. That's when things could become a little bit more telling as to what kind of time we're in for. As for the events that we are in for on day 2 of the East Coast Invitational, we're beginning here with the 3,200 meters. We're going to have a total of 3 boys heats on schedule after this second and final girls section. At 9:15 a.m. approximately, we'll be running the 60-meter dash prelims, followed by the 60-meter hurdle prelims at 10:15. Again, still sticking with high schoolers. Once the hurdle prelims are done, we're going to run the 500-meter dash time finals, 1,600-meter run at 11:10 a.m., and then the infield finals for the high schoolers, boys then girls, at 12:30 for the 60 and 12:45 for the 60-meter hurdles. After that, at 1 p.m., we'll begin our collegiate session with the 60 hurdle prelims, followed by the 200-meter dash, and then the 60 hurdle finals, and the 4x4, which in between that 60 hurdle final and the 4x4 will be the high school 4x2s. We're going to finish our schedule overview once we observe our first 1,600-meter split for Aubrey Hubbard of Abingdon. Has already started the lap competitors, 6:21 high. And remember, her 1,600-meter PR, 6:06.40, so she's within 15 seconds of that mark, keeping a really good pace. I mean, heck, her first two 1,600-meter runs this season were slower than the 1,600 meters that she just split in the 32. So you have to really like where Aubrey Hubbard is right now, on pace to go around 12:42 if she can finish strong. The chase group is right there with her. Natalie Dye in second, wearing hip number 6. Caitlin Lonsdale now in fourth as they go by our early leader. Morgan Kimmener going with the junior from Hickory, wearing hip number 1. You gotta like Aubrey Hubbard, almost responding to these moves made on her. She's running a little bit of extra distance in lane 2, but trying to stay right on the top group. That shows that she wasn't fazed by the three-headed assault on her front-running position. The challenge is she can't be too desperate to get that lead back, or else she's going to find herself stuck out in lane 2 and doing a little bit extra work than she would like. Natalie Dye, she looks cool as a cucumber out front. Let's observe what she has done in the past. Of course, we're thinking in present day for the freshman from Grassfield out of nearby Chesapeake. She's run a couple of 1Ks this season with a personal best of 3:27.40, but hasn't gotten the chance to taste the 32 yet. She ran a 21:16 5K back in the cross-country season at the VA Showcase, so you'd reckon that she can go sub 14 in a raw out 3,200, as a 5K is just over 3 miles. 21 divided by 3 is 7 times 2, 14. Sub 14 without those additional 1,800 meters, you got to think is going to be a pretty safe slam dunk for Natalie Dye. As she hits the final kilometer, it was right around 8:45 in that realm. Other top 3, Morgan Kimmener still there in second from Hickory. Caitlin Lonsdale, the sophomore from Grassfield, going around the outside of lap traffic in third. And our early leader, Aubrey Hubbard. And again, it's still looking for that sub 13 in fourth. What were our athletes seeded to achieve, perhaps? Dye, 13 minutes flat was what she was expected to go. Morgan Kimmener, the top seed in this heat at 12:44.24. We'll see if she can get in the mix. She's drawn within 5 meters of the leader into the final 4 laps. They can close in beneath 3 minutes for this last 800. That would be really impressive. That'd be what it would take for them to get to those top seeding times. Caitlin Lonsdale from Grassfield, the runner in third, latched onto the back of Hickory's top runner, Morgan Kimmener. She was slated to go 13:24.50. And she's challenging on the outside into second. It is now a Grassfield 1-2 as they are running now with less than 600 meters to go. Back to a Grassfield 1-3 as we enter the final quarter mile of this second and final section of the girls' 3,200 meters. You have to really like what you're seeing out of Kimmener from Hickory. Morgan Kimmener, the junior, but she's been passed up by the sophomore from Grassfield, Caitlin Lonsdale. It almost looked like Kimmener was leading her back closer to her teammate, Natalie Dye, who has led since the mile mark. Aubrey Hubbard still running strong in fourth, but running out of distance and time to catch back up to the top three. It's going to come down to Natalie Dye, Caitlin Lonsdale, and Morgan Kimmener as the Grassfield teammates hit the bell just beneath 12 minutes. We are going to see a sub-13 clocking, but who is going to come away with the win? Caitlin Lonsdale makes the first move on the final lap, overtaking her teammate and pulling away. The 13:24 seed is looking to go several steps further. Caitlin Lonsdale in the final 100 meters. Natalie Dye still holding on to second over Morgan Kimmener. And it will be Caitlin Lonsdale off the final turn. What a run by the sophomore. And a massive personal best of over 30 seconds. 12:38.43. That is 36 seconds off of her indoor lifetime best. And she even beat her outdoor best of 12:43.58 by 5 seconds. Emily Dye, Morgan Kimmener, and even Aubrey Hubbard break the 13-minute barrier. Zoe Pham as well. Our sixth place runner was just outside of it. That was Carissa Smith of Greenbrier Christian Academy. Another Chesapeake school, but speaking of Chesapeake schools, this is Grassfield taking the 1 and 2. Rest of our finishers coming in. You saw that Cape jersey. That's Cape Henlopen from Delaware, one of the many schools from neighboring states that paid us a visit today. Kate Hocking from Hickory just entered her final lap. You saw her in the white. Here comes her teammate in a battle to the line. Perhaps not, as they were on different laps. Again, that's the nature of some of these distance races. They become so widespread, and it's tough to tell sometimes what lap our athletes are on. Our lap counters are doing the dirty work on the ground. Little post-race celebration. They're barely out of breath out there. Wonder if they'll be back for the 1600. We're going to probably see a lot of returning talents for that event once we bring it to you around the 11 o'clock hour. There's a nice sprint to the finish by the Hickory teammates. One of them still has a lap to go. Just 2 finishers left in our second heat. Here's Kate Hocking of Hickory. You can tell she's feeling the pain right now. She's looking at the line, trying to stay upright as the boys are getting on the line to go next. Starters making sure they're all clear. They got to get underway quickly as Hocking from Hickory was coming in hot. But we're underway. Let's meet our first heat. We've got Josh Taylor from Clover Hill, Trevor Lawson of Glen Allen, Daniel Rocky of Princess Anne, Colston Wysotsky of Maggie Walker, Grayson Spiller of Midlothian, Kavi Rajapa of Maggie Walker, Blaze Brenneman of Hanover, Ashton Kochel from Walker, Wiley Mulholland of Freeman, Leo Chenoweth of Walker, Samuel Kiefer, and Satya Shanmugaselvam of Deep Run, Carter Sell of J.R. Tucker, Ryan Courage of Midlothian, Sean Arjona of Glen Allen, Braden Red of Cape Henlopen, Braden Nemec from Louisa County, and Matthew Kane of Lancaster. The scheduled field of 18 to its first 300 meters of this 32. Our early leader, worship number 3, that's Daniel Rocky of Princess Anne. Having a look at what he has done, the senior from Virginia Beach, as he takes us through our first quarter mile. His personal best over 3,200 indoors is a 9:30.74, which he set, guess where? Right here at the VA Showcase just 3 weeks ago. That's far quicker than he went last outdoor season, so I'd say he likes the indoor track environment and atmosphere. And he's done pretty well over the shorter distances as well. He is a 4:19.09 1,600 meter runner, so effectively a sub 4:20 miler. Always a good club to consider yourself a part of as he takes us through that 600 split around 145, 146. In second place, you saw him rocking that big University of Michigan style M. That was Grayson Spiller, the sophomore of Midlothian. Daniel Rocky has collected a few big wins this season. We mentioned his 4:19.09 1,600. That was good enough to win the Beach District meet number 3 here at the end of January. He's also collected a couple of Beach District meet wins in the 1K. And took part in the Invitational 1 Mile series at VA Showcase. He's trying to turn this into a complete solo run, just as we saw our girls 3,200 meter winner Ellie Velasquez do. He's huffing and puffing a little bit, but his face staying nice and composed. First 1,000 meters, 2:55. And he's run as quickly as 2:35 over the K this season. And even last season, he dropped his best time to a 2:34.80. The 1,000 was ultimately the distance that he chose to attack the state meet with. Ended up placing 7th in Class 5 last year. That was his highest finish of his junior campaign and his highest state finish yet. He is now a senior, Daniel Rocky, with about a 50-meter gap on the field. Now in second place, we've got Maggie Walker's top runner, Colston Wysotsky, who is also a senior. Man, Rocky is really working hard out there. Again, he's still not at the halfway point of his race. He knows he's got a lot more work to do, but he's not shying away from the pace. That's what I love to see, especially in the early morning. Chase group, Spiller from Midlothian, still there in 3rd. And then in 4th is our second Walker runner, Leo Chenoweth. And our 3rd Walker runner is in 5th. That is Ashton Kochel. The next time by for our leader, Daniel Rocky, will be the first mile split. As he has now a 60-meter gap on the field. It feels like it's growing by 10 meters each lap. Let's see what Danny will split here. Rocky in a high 4:40. If he replicates that over the back half, he will be in the 9:20s for his 3,200-meter clocking. But it's going to be a really tough road home from here. Perhaps if he has some more juice in his reserves, he could attack Luke Coffin of Annapolis, his meet record of 9:12.51 set back in 2022 at the 59th East Coast Invitational. Again, he took it at a high 4:40, so this latest lap was around a 35 mid. 35 mid, that'll get you to around 71 seconds per quarter, so he's on 4:44 closing pace, meaning that if this continues, he's more than likely going to positive split his 3,200-meter effort. That means running the first half faster than the second half. But giving you a little bit more sense of history, Luke Coffin of Annapolis ended up going on to run at the Division I level. He's now with the Providence College Friars up in the great ocean state of Rhode Island. Daniel Rocky, Princess Anne, the local Virginia Beach talent. Is also going to compete at the collegiate level once his days in a Princess Anne uniform are done. He's committed to the University of Lynchburg. So nice to see that he's relishing his senior year. Again, a lot of seniors pick different points in time to make their college decisions, and I'd imagine for Daniel Rocky, having made his by now, allows him to focus fully on his athletics career rather than what it will hold for the future. It allows him to live in the moment. And you could just tell in those earlier laps, and even now as he's about to start lapping competitors, you could tell that he was really eager to attack this and go after a PB. Remember, he needs a 9:30.74 or faster as he approaches his final 800 meters. Great double box shot brought to you by our production crew here at the Flow Sports team. We've still got that Walker and Midlothian battle for second between Colston Wazotsky and Grayson Spiller. But it seems like almost every turn into straightaway transition point, you can see and sense the surges by Daniel Rocky. His form is starting to deteriorate a little bit, but his determination is still there. It's this stage of the race where you can just slowly feel your body burn up more and more each and every step. But you have to tune that out. You have to stay focused and mentally locked in as the pain continues to increase. It's times like this when, if you have a nice long stride, you can resort to that to help carry you home. But Rocky is combining that with the turnover. Man, you could just tell he's really grimacing on his face right now. Final 400 meters at 8:14. He puts his head down as if he's running into the wind right now. He got some of the chasers trying to make some moves of their own, but they're well disconnected from having any chance at winning this thing, as Daniel Rocky has over 100 meters of advantage now on our second place runner. Grayson Spiller has retaken the number 2 spot over Colston Wazotsky of Maggie Walker. But this is the Daniel Rocky Show here at the Virginia Beach Sports Center. Your undisputed early and often leader has taken the bell at 8:50, looking for his first sub 9:30. Onto the final backstretch. His lead nearly 150 meters now as he starts to pour on the juice. Daniel Rocky on his home track from Virginia Beach, repping Princess Anne. The Lynchburg University commit off the final turn, 9:30.74. His previous personal best. Say hello to your new PR, Daniel Rocky, 9:23. .923.68 for Daniel Rocky. A phenomenal clocking as we got a big sprint for second coming out of nowhere there at the end. That was hip number 1, it looks like. Joshua Taylor of Clover Hill. No, that was hip number 18. Matthew Kane of Lancaster. 9:44 for Matt to take second. Joshua Taylor of Clover Hill, had he been in this heat, I would imagine he would have factored pretty heavily, as he is the reigning Virginia State champion over the 3,200. Daniel Rocky could perhaps be looking to steal that crown away, as if we look at the Virginia boys state rankings over 3,200, Daniel Rocky, he is now going to be right behind Taylor, who currently slots in at 9:22.36 for Virginia number 11. And Daniel Rocky just ran a 9:23 solo effort to slot him in at New Virginia number 13. You have to think that if he gets into a race with some more sub 9:30 guys, some more sub 9:20 guys perhaps, that he has a chance to potentially break his PR. Yet again, he broke it by 7 seconds today, so it's hard to suggest that he's found his zenith point. As the second heat comes out onto the track next, this is second of 3 that we had on schedule. Our third appears to be getting clerked in right now, as our second group sets up in their double waterfall start. 9:23.68 is the time to beat. We're going to keep all possibilities open if they want to attack that time that we just saw out of Daniel Rocky. A very nicely split race, by the way, around 4:40 to 4:22 and change for his 1,600 meter splits. They're going to need to go around 35 seconds per lap, so we're going to watch that clock for that average pace as we go. So far, we've got a breakaway group of 4, but not by much, as again, we're still less than 400 meters in to this race. So far, our leader wears hip number 1. That is Mr. Adam Matrugui from Lansdowne. He's in that purple kit on the inside. Right behind him is Roman Chapman of Ocean Lakes in that bright green, and on his outside, Jonathan Baum of Hickory. In 4th place with all of them is Jacob Williamson of Maggie Walker. He wears hip number 13. So trying to break the mold as they're seated in order of their hip numbers. In 4th place right now. And then at 5th, Ben Labert of Ocean Lakes. So now Roman Chapman has moved into the front, the senior from the local Virginia Beach school, Ocean Lakes. If his family members are watching and couldn't make it out on this Saturday morning, we welcome you in to our FloTrack broadcast of the East Coast Invitational, as well as everybody else in attendance. Yet do not forget, we have got our social channels operating on all platforms at FloTrack and MileSplit as well. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter /X, and even YouTube. Our social sites allow us to bring more immediate content than our site archive footage and articles that we publish on our digital format. Speaking of archives, you'll get to relive each and every race in its entirety, courtesy of our archive team, cutting up all of the races for you, and even a full live replay. Those will all be accessible to you on FloTrack and MileSplit upon the conclusion of each event, and eventually upon the conclusion of the meet. So let's get back to the nitty-gritty here. Roman Chapman, the senior from Ocean Lakes, has just come through the 1,200 meter split, so 2 kilometers remain of his 3,200 meter run. Chapman has run a 10:53 this season at the VA Showcase, so that's his season best. As for his personal best, though, he's gone much quicker, 10:29 outdoors at the Region 5A Championships, and even a 10:26 at his regional indoor championships, which was just a year before Wednesday, February 12th, 2024. Next time by will be his first 1,600 meter split. So we'll get a chance to see what Roman's looking to go here today. He set PRs in the shorter distances this season. 2:43 over 1K and 4:39 indoors over 16. That was good for a lifetime all-purpose best. So he's looking to make the most of his opportunities afforded to him on his doorstep as he comes to the halfway point. He is at 5:01 mid. So with that pace, he could be looking at a PR by 20+ seconds. We saw a 7-second improvement in the first heat by Daniel Rocky, his fellow Virginia Beach native. The 757 boys really dominating thus far. And similar to Daniel Rocky, our previous heat winner, you can almost tell in this back half of the race that the pain is really starting to settle in and consume Chapman in his body. But he's breathing hard, trying to use that stride, rocking the Nikes on a day where the Nike Track and Field Center at the Armory plays host to the 117th Millrose Games. Again, this Saturday, there is just so much happening in track and field. East Coast Invitational, I would say, as far as meets that are happening today, is the second most historic. We've got the luxury of bringing it to you here on MileSplit and FloTrack. Here's our chase group. Still running 2 and 3 right there. Jonathan Baum of Hickory and Ben Labor, the other Ocean Lakes runner, down in the white kit with hit number 5. He looks exactly how I'd look out there, with red, rosy cheeks, but he is keeping a nice, good form, as is his teammate Roman Chapman, who leads by about 50 meters over the second and third place runner. It is now an Ocean Lakes 1 and 2. As we've got now less than a kilometer to go. Roman Chapman, if he negative splits this race too, he could be sub 10 for the first time. We mentioned his previous lifetime best that is sure to be broken here today if he continues, as 10:29, so barely beneath 10:30, and the quickest he's gone this season is a 10:53. 7:39 in his final 800 meters. What kind of closing speed does he have? We've already seen 2:43 over 1K, so that would indicate that he has sub 2:10, 800 speed and change to boot. And he's backed that up outdoors with a 2:06.95 personal record. over the half-mile rough distance. You see that runner on the top right of our screen that just came into frame? That's our second place runner, just illustrating the gap that he has forged. Just a great display of distance running by Roman Chapman. We've seen pretty much every race come down to a runaway victory, and doesn't look like Heat 2 of the boys 3,200 meters will end with a much different result. We've now got a 2-3 battle. A new runner has emerged to challenge Chapman's teammate, Ben Labert. They're starting to deal with some of the lapped runners right now. He's coming into the home straightaway, ready to receive his final quarter mile. 9:03 on the dot for Roman Chapman of Ocean Lakes. Our new number 2 runner wears hip number 7, and he is running very strong. Luke Zalewski from Mills Godwin. Zalewski looking to break his 10:39 indoor best. Junior from Henrico, just outside of our state capital of Richmond. Running very strong in second, but he's still got 40 meters to close on the leader. Roman Chapman from Ocean Lakes. Zalewski has broken away from the 3-4 that is now Ben Labert of Ocean Lakes, leading narrowly over Jonathan Baum of Hickory. And then our early leader, Adam Matrugui from Lansdowne, rocking that royal blue in 5th. We'll watch for them as they come for the finish later, though, as this final 50 meters is all about Roman Chapman. Virginia Beach dominance continues with another double-digit personal best performance. 10 minutes and 18 seconds for Roman Chapman. Zalewski through for second, and it is Jonathan Baum of Hickory who will take third. Our third section starting to take their stride out as the second section unleashes its finishing kicks. How about that? We had multiple guys. The top 3 all got beneath or right at 10:30. Jonathan Baum 10:30 on the dot, but we mentioned Zalewski as a 10:39 runner prior to today. He improved his PR by 14 seconds. Our second heat has finished. Our third heat is taking to the starting line now. This will be our final 3,200 meters of the weekend, as the collegians will not be running that distance. It's kind of a bittersweet moment for a lot of our seniors when, let's say, they want to continue their running career at the college level, won't get a lot of chances to continue their 3,200/2 mile career beyond high school. Heat 3 underway. And naturally, with such large fields, you've got to expect much physical contact in the early portions when they're confined to 3 lanes apiece effectively. The inside waterfall does get to use lanes 4, 5, and 6 technically, but with the cones lining the entire track, there's just no point to try and weave your way in between them. Rather, just wait until the top of the straightaway to cut in when it is legal to do so. Taking control early is our runner wearing hip number 1. In this field of 24 on schedule, that is Shreyan Angadala from Deep Run. And he's already going to get past, so you got to enjoy the first 250 meters in the lead, but he's been passed, and we're likely going to see some more position changes as we go, unless this heat turns into yet another runaway this early. We'll see. Our new leader wears hip. This is hip number 1. That was hip number 13, so this is Angadala now in the front. It was hip number 13, James Hagland of Glen Allen. I think that jersey looked a little peculiar. Here's Angadala from Deep Run, our confirmed leader. Here in second is Liam Robinson of Mills Godwin, excuse me. If you recall, his teammate, Luke Zalewski, took second in the previous heat. Now a two-way battle for third. James Hagland, our first lap leader, grappling with Caden Coleman of Norview in the whites. 400 to 600 meters now, 157. So looking at that average per lap pace, they're going 39s. Maybe not necessarily for their actual splits, but for average splits. And if they keep that up, then that will get them to 78 seconds per quarter, 236 per half mile, 800 meters more specifically, and then for 1,600 meters, 5:12. So all you got to do is double that up once more, and you arrive at a 10:24 pace that they've set through that opening 600. Now, Robinson from Mills Godwin looks interested in taking the lead, but it still sits with Shreyan Angadala, the senior from Deep Run. As far as what he has done, he's run 11:04 this season, but he's been passed for the lead by James Robinson. It's Liam Robinson, excuse me, from Mills Godwin. The man from Henrico, he's run 11:17 this season, so looking to break that mold is if we compare him to Angadala, excuse me. Shreyan's got a 13-second faster season best to work with. And that 11:17 that we mentioned for Robinson, that's his indoor personal best. And according to his mile split profile, this is his first track season. He has only run cross country prior to the 2025 season, having had 3 seasons under his belt with Mills Godwin, but now getting a taste of the track as he takes a look over the left shoulder, comes through that first 1,200 just beneath 4 minutes at around 3:58. That second 600 just outside of 2 minutes, so the pace is slowing, as remember they came through 1:57 for the opening 600. 600 per split's not necessarily the typical way that we like to break up a 3,200, but a good way to give us a sense of where we are in between our 400 splits, our 800 splits, etc. The next time by will be our first mile split. It looks like Midlothian's running in second now. We'll keep watch on that. I believe when I picked back up on a previous heat during the girls 3,200, I did not finish our schedule overview. So again, the collegiate window, that's going to be from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., concluded by the collegiate 4x4. Halfway split for Robinson around 5:18, so he's on 10:36 pace. That would be 40 seconds and change of a personal best for Liam. But after our collegiate session, we've got our high schoolers running the 400, the 300, the 1K, and then the 4x4. So that'll be it for day 2 of the East Coast Invitational. Expect to conclude around the 6:30 p.m. hour, so we've still got nearly 9 hours left with you. And I'd argue a little bit more, as we've just hit the 9 a.m. hour. And Liam Robinson almost looks like he's picking it up now that he's in the second half of the race. From what I've observed from our young distance runners, they've almost felt a bit of a switch flick once they hit that mile mark. It's like, okay, now I got to start to go, because you can see there's the panic on his face as he takes a look over his left shoulder. He knows the field is full of very strong kickers, and he wants to make sure that he runs the legs off of them so that they don't have a chance to come back at him and steal his victory that he believes is his. He's just passed 3 of his teammates. Now ahead by over a lap, the man wearing hip number 11, Liam Robinson. Let's shout out his teammates, though. That's Jackson Rogers in 16. His most recent man that he passed. And he's got a couple of other teammates right there behind him. Another event that I should give a shout out to that'll be coming up on FloTrack at 10:30 a.m. One of the many other track and field events happening on this very active Saturday on the ovals. The Bruce Lehane Scarlet and White Invitational. That'll be on the great oval of Boston University, which I'm sure a number of our young distance runners are just itching to get a taste of. My friend and colleague Phil Grove will have the action beginning at 10:30 from the Track and Tennis Center in good old Beantown. Boston University, we saw a whole lot of history last weekend at the John Thomas Terrier Classic at just over half this distance in the 1 mile, 3:48.32 by North Carolina's Ethan Strand to shatter Cooper Tier's collegiate record in the mile. I don't think I need to say much more than that. You've all heard the news, and if you haven't, you just heard it here. It is a great time to be a distance runner right now. And Liam Robinson has enjoyed the majority of this race practically unopposed. Looks like Maddox Bird of Thomas Dale is trying to reel him in there. Hard to tell if he's on the lead lap. He might be. Gets so much scattered action happening. Robinson's in his final 3 laps. He is still your leader. That we know for sure. Bird is closing ground on him in second. You see what Robinson's doing. He's trying to move his arms as little as possible to save them for when he needs them the most in the final few laps. Less than 400 meters to go for Robinson, who again has never broken 11 minutes. Again, he's very new to the track scene, so he could be getting used to distances like this as Maddox Bird could be doing a bit of the same. He's a freshman from Dale as he takes the lead bravely at 300 meters to go. Let's see if Robinson's reservations will pay off in the final 250. But so far, Bird is pulling away into the bell. Maddox Bird from Chester, Virginia takes the bell, looking to break his 11:05.82 personal best. He set that a couple of months ago in December. And kicking away. 10:23 on the clock as he's got less than 100 meters to go. Having to go wide around the outside to lap his competitors Robinson will come off the turn in second, but Maddox Bird, with the move from 300 out, will seal the victory in heat number 3 of the boys' 3,200 meters. And he will also seal a 25-second lifetime best. 10:40.34 for Maddox Bird. And Liam Robinson, 10:42.78. He takes an even larger margin off of his PR, 35 seconds for the junior from Herndon, Glenn Allen. No, that's Herndon. Correction on that. And Godala's from deep run, one of our earlier leaders. There's a nice little photo between hips number 5 and 13. That was Josh Reinecke of the Potomac School, just out dipping James Haglund of Glen Allen for 4th and 5th. Our 3rd place runner came through. That was Caden Coleman of Norview as well. And here come the rest of our finishers. There's Freeman. Look like Nat Taylor. As we get a view of our winner, right of screen on the double box, Maddox Bird. That is his first win of his high school career thus far. We've been paying so much attention to the personal bests when we forget, as a youngster, you just have that competitive spirit and you want to win races. And that's what I think made the difference for Maddox Bird in that effort that allowed him to let the time take care of itself. It's a big early step for him in his career, because so many runners will see marks like breaking that 11-minute barrier and be like, all right, that's my goal. I'm going to go into this race. I'm going to break 11. When you go into the race fixated on that goal, sometimes you neglect tactics and it backfires on you. And then you end up not breaking sub 11 or whichever goal you have in mind. Bird, he set his goals aside and put his race plan first and executed brilliantly. And what do you know? He PR'd in the process. Our next event on the track, as our 3,200 meter series has concluded, will be the 60 meter dash prelims, starting with the girls. We've got our first section looking to send the top 8 fastest overall times to the finals later. Bentley Sneed of Abingdon, her teammate Abigail Byington, Gigi Oliveira, Micaiah Johnson, Maniba Irfan, Alicia Bottoms, Madison Gillenwater, and Janae Libbard. Lanes 1 through 8. Gigi Oliveira from Glen Allen in lane 3, the lone scratch. And even with the newfound vacancy on her left, Micaiah Johnson of Nansemond River comes away to crush the opening section by a very wide margin. Nearly a half a second for Johnson, the junior from Nansemond River. Coming over from Suffolk, VA. That was her first time running a full 60 meters this season. Is again, the 55 meter distance is contested at the state level. So with that in mind, you have to like what Johnson just did. She nearly cracked her personal best that she set here at the East Coast Invitational last year. That was an 8:07. And she's given herself a chance to advance out of the prelims here. But again, it's all about time. You got to go top 8 overall in order to advance. Second heat of the girls' 60 meter dash. We're going to have a total of 21 prelims. So we got quite a ways to go here. Let's see who gets the win and goes for the time. Good start by the Riverdale Baptist girls in the golden kits in 3 and 4. And going with in 5 is Rose Barabanov of Potomac. Lauren Pace will take the win out of lane number 4 in 8.12. Barabanov takes second with 8:15, just 300ths behind. Third section being called into its blocks. It looks like we've got a couple of vacancies here. So our thinnest field yet. In this 60 lanes, 1, 4, 5, and 6 are underway. Great explosive get off by Dakota Williams of Riverdale Baptist, but Jenkins Taylor of West Branch rally and collect the win, 8:15. She had a little hop step after that, so a good display of confidence. Our fastest time thus far is still Micaiah Johnson of Nansemond Rivers, 8:08 from the opening section. Keep in mind, they may be collecting en route splits for 55. They have a little tape marker 5 meters shy of the finish. That could be what that entails. I don't see a camera there, but they did do it last year, so we'll see if that factors in as well if athletes are looking to achieve a certain time heading towards the state meet. Section number 4 is on the line and underway. A group of 5. Tyra Price of Oscar Smith separating early and growing the gap to the line. Looked like some of the other runners stepped off the gas at the end. The winning time will be all Tyra Price in 8:28. So as we go, we're eventually going to get those results populated in. And so far, our bubble, we had the first 2 heats scored in live results, which are available via Blue Ridge timing on goinguplive.com. 8:88 is the unofficial bubble to the first 2 scored heats. We're on our 5th heat now. So it likely will take something quicker than that to make it. Destiny Gatling gonna go pretty darn quick out of heat number 5. What a run for the sophomore, going 7:84. Destiny Gatling with a great display. As for what we've seen from her this season, that was her first time running the full 60 meters. We've seen her high jump 5'8", so she's got plenty of versatility to boot. But over the 60 meters, she was just a couple of tenths off at the time that she set to win her particular race at the Adidas Track Nationals here at Virginia Beach last March. That was the freshman 60 meters for those curious. Who's going to win out of heat number 6? Oscar Smith going to collect another win. Jayla Carruthers out of lane number 4. 8.04 for Jayla. That'll mark her as the number 2 athlete now in the overall standings. Again, we teased it yesterday, the East Coast Invitational, as the 1 month, 1 week marker away from the NCAA championships that'll be here at Virginia Beach on March 14th and 15th. But let's not forget the weekend after. That's 1 month and 2 weeks from now. We'll be back at the Sports Center for the Adidas Track Nationals for the high schoolers. So this track is really going to be put to the test in just its 5th year of establishment. As the 7th section of 21 gets underway. Yet another win for lane number 4. That is Terry Patrick of Hermitage, the freshman. Goes 8 flat. Very solid run by Taryn. Win that heat by over a half a second. Our second runner was Reynolds Sayani from Western Ranch. Heat number 8 going to be called to a quick stand-up. If we have assessed where we are on the rough schedule, our 60-meter prelims were scheduled to begin right now at this time at 9:15, so the meet is running slightly ahead of schedule. If you saw the finalized schedule in PDF format on MileStat, that's the Virginia Mile Split site's meet page, and perhaps missed one of the first 7 heats, don't forget archived race footage will be available to you, as that was a pretty clear and obvious early movement by the girl in lane 6, Kirsten Parham from Thomas Dale, the starter going to give her an unfortunate red card. And she has to step off the track. She will not get a chance to race for a spot in the final, leaving this group only 4. Her teammate Naomi Evans will line up in lane number 1. Lane number 4, center of screen, Jayla Washington of Bishop McNamara. Her teammate Anila Castro in lane number 5. And then lane number 7 is Brianna Sorgianto of Deep Run. It's all the McNamara Mustangs who will take section number 8 in style. How about the times? 8:19 for Manila Castro and Jayla Washington with an 8:39. Bishop McNamara coming over from Forestville, Maryland, just outside of our nation's capital, just to the immediate southeast of DC. Nice to see them in attendance. One of the most prominently featured sprint programs on the East Coast at a number of invitationals, including the East Coast Invitational itself. As we're underway with section number 9, a great start and drive phase by another Smith runner. Out of lane number 4, it's a Yanni Rubottom who will take this section in a 7:95, our second sub-8 clocking thus far. It's tough to tell. Is it lane 4 or is it the Oscar Smith jersey? You take your pick. Moving on to our 10th section of 21 as Rubottom walks off after her dominant victory in Heat 9. Again, it's all about time, so even if that time ultimately ended up being as good as it was, there is still the possibility that 8 others could get in front of that. One already has, so we'll see what happens from here. Jasleen Brunskill of Sussex, Ashaya Hodge of Dale, Shaquila Lavender of Smith, Rhea Brown of Glen Allen, and then Georgia Kumper of Mills Godwin. Your heat in lanes 1, 2, 4, 5, and 8 looked like a couple of blocks were unsteady, so they're getting a chance to reestablish them here. Shaquila Lavender, she'll be one to look out for out of lane number 4. I've gotten to see her clock a couple of quick sprints, but she ended up making the finals at this event last year with her qualifying time of 7:91. Let's see if she can make it this time. It's all about that clock stoppage. She even ran 7:86 when she got to the final. She goes 7:97 here in her prelim, which does put her in qualifying position as of right now. Let's not forget her teammate, Ayani Rubottom Smith, who we just saw win the previous heat. Before this, was also a finalist last year in the 60. So they got a few sub-11 clockings. Let's have a look now at the combined standings, if we've got an update on that. And we do. Our bubble is now 8.19 by Anila Castro unofficially. That is through the first 8 scored sections, so not factoring in the last 2. Should likely adjust that to something in the lower 810s. Section 11, some more Smith. For lane 3, this is Riverdale Baptist in 4, Tiffany Garrett. Garrett, we mentioned our freshman 60-meter dash. Our national champion, Destiny Gatling. Well, Tiffany Garrett was a freshman finalist in the 60 last year as well, placing 8th from Riverdale Baptist, and now in her sophomore year, giving herself a chance to make that final. She goes 7:96. She's run 7:81 this season as well at the Kevin Dare Invitational, so we know there's more in store for Tiffany Garrett. Oh, heat 12 is a false start for Jane Bowman of Freeman. She walks up before she even sees the card. The official walks out to an empty lane 6. You know what? Jane is taking this the right way. She's smiling off the track. She's almost laughing it off. No, it wasn't her day today to run the 60, but there's always another day to look forward to, and that's the mindset that you got to carry. Heat of now just 3 athletes as they're called to a stand-up. And now back into the blocks they go. Carlin Rucker, Assad Delaney, and Shauna Granby tight at the line between 3 and 5. That was Delaney of Hermitage and Shauna Granby of Great Bridge. Outside of qualifying times, but the heat win goes to Granby out of lane number 5 on the near side. Next section, heat number 13, getting into its starting blocks. Caroline O'Shea, Sarah Graham, Isabella Chalawa, Madison Wanza in lanes 1 through 4, and then that looks to be it for this heat. Looked like it was close to a false start, but nonetheless a great reaction by Madison Wanza from Potomac Falls in lane number 4. Just about timed that gun reaction perfectly, Devin Allen style. She'll go 17 with an 8 on the front, 8.17 the winning time out of heat number 13 for Madison Wanza. For those that don't get the Devin Allen reference, one of the fastest 110 hurdlers in U.S. and world history, notoriously was bounced from the World Championship final in 2022 at Hayward Field for having a 1,000th quicker than the legal reaction time of 0.1 seconds. The track and field community was clearly angered by that. It was just such an unfortunate circumstance for Devin, but clean starts here and a strong finish out of lane 5 in heat number 14. That is Tierra Palmer from Granby. fact, it might be Micaiah Evans. Nope, that is Tiara Palmer. 8:49 for the win out of Section 14. Micaiah Evans was in the previous heat from Western Branch. So heat 15 getting an opportunity to set its blocks. This is something very cool about the East Coast Invitational, because many other invitationals that I've gotten a chance to cover at the high school level will not allow the athletes to use starting blocks for the prelims. So they'll have to just rely on their ability to start without them in order to get to the finals to the point where they earn them. But here, you get the chance to not only run for the finals, but potentially run for a PR, knowing that you're running with the starting blocks and essentially sprinting all out. Another great reaction to the gun by Ryan Johnson of Riverdale Baptist. Johnson with a low 8-second clocking, 8.04. And a little hand clap there for our second place runner, Thomas. It's Layla Thomas of Western Branch. She was happy with her 8:42. 8:04 by Ryan Johnson. That should be good enough to make it onto the final. She was also one of our featured runners in the 200 yesterday. Placed 4th overall in 26:18. As we move on to our next section, this is going to be heat number 16. A little bit too good of a reaction to the gun. Could we have our second Freeman Falls starter? Eliza Hatchett, the sophomore, moved before the gun was fired. It looked like, yep, there it is, another red card. I saw that shining yellow, and look at that. She's like this close. She moved that early. Man. Eliza Hatchett probably saw what happened with her teammate Jane Bowman and saw the way that she carried herself off that track. It wasn't frustration, it was just more of an oh well. Got to go back to the drawing board and settle down next time. Heat 16 going to get another opportunity. This time cleanly out of the blocks. Jasmine Johnson, Bishop McNamara takes it in first. Kyla Willis of Nansemond River goes in second. 8:08 for Johnson and 8:28 for Willis. Let's have another update with our bubble times. As we currently stand, Lauren Pace of Riverdale Baptist's 8:12 through the first 13 scored sections. In fact, 14 is our bubble. And considering we've seen 2 results quicker than that since, I would imagine the new bubble would become 8:04. As your prior number 6 runner overall was Jayla Carruthers of Oscar Smith with her 8:04 clocking. And we just saw an 8:04 2 heats ago, rather. So that is our effective bubble. Got to go quicker. Torching this field out of heat 17. That induced a wow from our production crew. That was Zaya Heru from Atlantic Shores Christian. Her finishing time was quicker than the rest. 7:73. Not just the rest in this heat, but then the rest in the entire field thus far. Zaya Heru, who was previously a runner for Grassfield. We're going to have to take a look at what she has done for ASC as heat 18 gets on the line. Just 3 runners here. Some Midlothian pride showing out in the form of Chloe Webb, another scorcher out of lane number 4. 8:22 just outside of the bubble. Let's go back to our previous heat winner out of 17. That was Heru. Again, she went 7:73. Zaya Heru, who is listed as part of the class of 2027. Her first time running a full 60. That should be a personal best for her. In that uniform, at least, as she's represented a number of track clubs. And, of course, her former high school grass field. Heat 19, Cameron Hills, LC Bird. We're really turning up the heat in these final few sections. 8:10, just outside of the bubble. Another strong showing. And she didn't have any runners on her outside, which does make it a bit more difficult psychologically. You like having runners to spearhead when you're in the middle of the track in lane number 4. And now it looks as though Aaron Kottman of Maggie Walker is going to be feeling that similar vacancy to her immediate left with no Taylor Jenkins in this heat. She was moved up, remember, a freshman from Western Branch. Section 20, our penultimate heat. Here comes Shreya Natarajan of Deep Run, fighting it out, a fall on the far side, but a win for Nolani Armstrong of Riverdale Baptist. She put her left hand skyward as she crossed the line and still has a little bit of a pep in her step after crossing the line. She takes the win out of section number 20 of 21. 8:45 for Armstrong. And this is it, our final section. So our new bubble time, as it currently stands, heading into this 21st and final section, I would estimate to be 8:04. As remember, we had 2 clock stoppages at that time. So gotta go 8:04 or better to give yourself a fighting chance. We got a real fight to the line. One of the tightest heats we've seen yet, ultimately going in favor of Haley Laborde of Western Branch. Charlotte Everhart from Potomac on her inside in 3, pushed her all the way to the line. How were those times? Let's check on them once again. 8:48. No qualifying times, but good race nonetheless. Let's contextualize the rankings, though. In the 60-meter dash, our state leader in Virginia for the girls coming in, Mia Mason from South County, the future Virginia Cavalier. But Heru just tied herself for Virginia number 5 with her Heat 17 win of 7:73. She'll be dangerous come the final. First heat of the boys on the track next, settling their blocks. How many heats will we have here? Well, there's going to be a lot of them, that's for sure. We got 181 scheduled entrants and a total of 23 heats of boys for the 60. Section 1, a near stumble in lane number 3. That definitely knocked Shamar Jones off his stride pattern. He's closing strong, but Rye Parks of Midlothian will close the strongest, take heat number 1. 7:53 for Parks. Let's have a look at what bubble time it took to make the finals last year for the boys. I mentioned it was just beneath 8 flat for the girls, but here, we could very well see something in the low 7s. As 7:19 was last year's bubble time. Heat number 2, another near stumble on the far side. That was Greg Boyd of Nansemond River losing ground out of Maurice Nicholson of J.R. Tucker, who takes it out of lane number 3 in the orange kit. In fact, that was Monica's Tristan Holland, so it was Nicholson who stumbled out of hit number 3 for the Tucker Tigers. Yeah, the lane identifications just one off, but Tristan Hollins, he will get the win out of this latest section. His winning time, 7:16. That'll be inside of what it took to get to the finals here last year, so gotta like that if you're Tristan. Heat number 3. Look at all that Riverdale Baptist gold and blue. Michael Giuliano, Potomac School trying to rally, and also lane number 6. That is Amarius Gregory Wyatt from Oscar Smith, who sent a few girls onto the 60-meter final. Could they be sending any of the fellas onward as well? 7:36 for Amarius Gregory Wyatt. Here comes heat number 4 of 23. Amir Alfred of Riverdale Baptist. He knows it. Took a flat step out of the blocks just a little too soon. Starter has not been particularly kind, but yeah, that's just the brutality of the sport right there. Let's not forget that Amir here did have a good run in the 200 yesterday. I believe he was part of that huge front of Riverdale Baptist runners. Amir Alfred took second in his heat yesterday. Will have to put his 60-meter hopes on hold as the rest of heat 4 attempts to go once again. This time a clean start. Alvin Jones from Oscar Smith working hard to get out of those blocks and up into his top end speed. He'll be your heat 4 winner in 7:22. Second place, Brendan Wood from James River out of Midlothian. Gets to sit down with a photographer that I reckon he knows very well and near and dear to heart. That's a way to celebrate a preliminary heat win. We'll soon start to assess our bubble time as heat number 5 is getting on the line. Prince Thompson, he'll be one to watch, our runner-up from the 2 last night from Riverdale Baptist. He's in lane 5. Slightly better start by Aubrey Skinner of Princess Anne. It's going to be tight to the line. Lonnie Andrew was there as well from Smith. It's going to be close between he and Thompson for the win. Andrew gets it by 0.02 of a second. Lonnie Andrew, or Oscar Smith in that all-black kit with the Adidas shorts. When you think of Adidas sprinters, not many names come to mind before Noah Lyles. Lonnie Andrew could be looking to don the Adidas Pro Kit one day. It all starts here on the big stages at the Virginia Beach Sports Center as we move forward to heat number 6. Of course, Noah Lyles did grow up in the DMV at a T.C. Williams High School just outside of the nation's capital. So a whole lot of parallels to draw between our high schoolers and the pros. My goodness, Glenn Lyman of Abington nearly fell on his face, but he's still up and running. He'll finish, and Donovan Dice will win from Potomac School in hip number 4. Little hop, skip, step after he finishes with the win. His final clocking a 7:43. He'll take it just over Anthony Narrow of Bishop McNamara. Section number 7 on the track now for the boys in the 60. What is going on with these near stumbles out here? Ferocious lean by Brennan Daniel of Granby, but not enough to take Ashton Strobridge from Bishop McNamara in the white kit. He'll take the win. It was the start that ultimately made the difference, as I would reckon Daniel, with the way he was finishing, had he been able to stabilize himself and accelerate smoothly, he would have probably challenged closer, if not ahead. Still some pretty good times, though, 7:22 and 7:28. Section number 8 is on the track next. Looked like some near flinches, but they're released cleanly. We got a dogfight to the line, and the top dog is Cameron Jones of Princess Anne. 7:30 for Cam Jones. Princess Anne, known as the Cavaliers, representing for Virginia Beach. And in this next heat, we're going to get our first sighting of a school that calls itself the Bulldogs. That being Bullis, rocking that big B on his rear vest. That is Demetrius Lewis. Demetrius Lewis Jr. running out of lane number 4. He's only got 2 competitors in this race, and Charlie Ladd of Glen Allen and Darren Trent of Monacan. Having a look at our current bubble time. We've only had 1 heat scored thus far, so we're not at a position where we can assess that. Just gonna have to see how fast they can go. Great start by Lewis. One of the best executed that we've seen yet. Rapid turnover, powerful arm action. How fast did Lewis go? 7:17. He seems to be pretty pleased with that. Demetrius Lewis Jr. from the Bullis School. His first full 60 meters of the season. So again, an effective PR for him. He comes with a 6.62 correction, 55-meter personal best. So we've known that he's got some pretty raw sprinting speed. He'll likely get a chance to showcase it with a bit more competition if he makes it to the finals. Section number 10 on the track next. Yet another trio of athletes. Warren Hernandez in 4, JP Snitsky in 5, and Jermaine Frederick of Oscar Smith will line up in lane number 6. This time they are away as they were called to a stand-up previously. This is going to be a tight fight to the line. Potomac's going to get it. J.P. Sitsnitsky. 7:31 to 7:34 for Warren Hernandez, the senior. Sitsnitsky just out dips the junior at the line. A couple of heats ago, I drew a comparison to Noah Lyles, just watching the dominant display by one of our runners that was wearing an Adidas kit. Well, this time we've got another comparison to draw to the 100-meter Olympic champion in his last name. That's Lamar Lyles, running out of lane number 3. I remember he had a good run in his 200 yesterday, the event that we predominantly know Noah as being a stud at, the American record holder at 19:31. Running the 60 meters here. The best start goes to Trishun Bradley of Oscar Smith. He's going to have to deal with Jaden Johnson of Riverdale Baptist, and he will. Bradley, 7:29 to 7:33. Lyles third in 7:70. Things definitely starting to tighten up as we approach the halfway point of our 60-meter series. We've got just about 45 minutes remaining of our free live preview on YouTube, X, and Facebook. All the action on FloTrack from the East Coast Invitational. We appreciate you for sticking with us, as we've still got several hours of track and field to come your way. And 12 more prelims of boys 60-meter dash. Heat 12 is on the line. Underway, a great start by William Calliot from James River Midlothian. Those high knees and long strides, a little bit of tape around his right calf, but even with that presumptive pre-existing injury, he still goes very quickly in this heat. Looked like a 7:16 if I saw that correctly. 7:15 in fact for William Calliot from James River. That'll be one of the fastest times that we've seen thus far. And he just broke his 60-meter personal best with that time. He was previously at a 7:33 from last year. 2023, he was 7:28 for a lifetime best. So a really impressive result. McNamara takes heat number 13. Matthew Lyons, 7:27. Looked like he had time to check the stopwatch there. 7:27 for Matthew Lyons. Let's see if we have an update on our bubble time as we look at our preliminary results. Our first 10 heats look to have been scored. Our bubble time is Prince Thompson's 7:31. And based on the times that I'm seeing, we have not yet factored in our 7:15 that we saw out of William Calliot for Midlothian. So with that in mind, 7:30 by Cameron Jones. And also if we factor in that 7.2. Ronnie Andrews, 7:29 is the bubble time. We got a little bit of Glenn Allen representing in heat number 13. In fact, heat number 14, that was Javion Harris and Victor Aledu going 1 and 2. They get to celebrate together and break it down adjointedly. 7:30 for Harris and 7:39 for Aledu. Should be just outside of the qualifying mark. Off and underway in heat number 15. Some more Bullis school here. Shahid Demetrius, the sophomore, goes 7:32. Again, just missing the qualifying mark, but he will take the win in section number 15 of 23. A good result for him. Indeed. You always got to love to collect a heat win, because in a race with such little room for error like the 60-meter dash, where the start is so important, where you have to execute that drive phase to near perfection in between, getting the win is a showcase of execution, no matter the time. The time is sometimes just a showcase of speed, but it takes execution to get it down a notch. Section 16. Slight flinch by Abingdon, it looked like. Jaden Gilchrist and Tyler Stanley to the line. It looked like Tyler Stanley, and it was by 0.02 of a second. We had a few spectators up here placing bets on who won that heat, and I heard the nearby crowd say Stanley got it, and they were right by 0.02 of a second over Jaden Gilchrist. And again, he had that little flinch out of the block, so a really impressive close. So that last heat served as an important reminder just how tough it is to make up early deficits. That's where having that speed can help you benefit. You might have this field thinned out a little bit. It wasn't as clear and obvious as a false start as we've seen in some of our previous sections. Let's see what the starters determine here. While walking back to the line, that looks like another red card. Man, tough break there for Oscar Smith's runner. Looked like Derek Harrell. In fact, I believe that's lane 6 that just got bounced. Charles McGlown. Harrell is still there in 5. We've got Joseph Donnelly of Deep Run in 1. Brady Matthews of Hickory in 2. DeMonte Sutherland of Norview 3. Chris Johnson, Oscar Smith in 4. And Ryan Morrison of Freeman on the near side in 7. Chris Johnson looking like CJ2K out here. 7:11, the fastest time we've seen thus far. And he looks like he could run for 1,900 more plus yards. Chris Johnson, of course, made famous for becoming one of the few running backs in NFL history to go over 200 yards, and his namesake from Oscar Smith just showcased a great deal of speed at the East Coast Invitational. Forgive me for being in severe football mode. We've got Super Bowl weekend, so I think I can give myself a bit of a pass there. If you are on our live chat, perhaps you can drop the team that you're rooting for in Super Bowl 59. We've got live chat going on YouTube, Facebook, our live feeds. Let us know what you think. Heat number 18. We got 4 guys in the mix here. That's going to be close. I think John Cody got it, and he did from Nansemond River. 7:44, winning by just 0.02 of a second. As we move on to heat number 19 of 23, let's have an update on those bubble times for the scored sections. So with that 7:11 that we saw from Christopher Johnson, that should make 7:28 by Brennan Daniel of Granby and or Tyler Stanley of Abingdon. They both at the same time. They're going to have to review it to the 1,000th to see who can ultimately advance if it comes down to those two as the 8th and 9th runners. Green card for the field as they had to be called to a stand-up. Section 19, boys 60-meter prelims. Strong start, lane number 5, and a strong finish as well by Jaden Koval of Oster Smith to hold off Jermaine Bell of Riverdale Baptist and Ethan Johnson of Mills Godwin. Koval will take heat number 19, the winning time of 7:34. Again, 7:28 is what you're looking for, just 6/100ths away. I'd imagine that this heat could very well produce some qualifiers, as one of the top sprinters in the nation will be running in this section. That is Cameron Homer from the Bullis School, the fastest sophomore over the 400-meter dash at 48:07. Running a bit shorter distance than he's been focusing on this season. He's yet to run an official 60-meter dash in a Bullis Bulldog uniform. How will he execute the start? He's got some strong runners on his inside and out. Homer for Bullis, the player to watch in 4. Looked a little bit eager to get out of those blocks, and it's no secret why. Just look at how quickly he reacted, bringing Daniel Stevenson of McNamara across the line with him in 2nd. Cameron Homer goes 7:04. Setting a new fastest mark overall by quite some margin. And looking to set the tone back home in the DMV for his Bullis Bulldog teammates that'll be running at Millrose later today. Cameron Homer. Let's have a look at the national sophomore rankings for the 60-meter dashes. He's not only number 1 for 10th graders in the 400, but also number 2 in the 200. Let's check on that. Again, 7:04, the time that Homer just clocked. Top sophomore time in the nation is a 6:83. Homer is now number 31 for sophomores, and he has a chance to improve upon that in the finals. Look out for his teammate Mickey Green in lane number 4, fighting it out with Isaiah Simmons of Princess Anne. Green wins the battle in heat 21. The senior goes 7:27. I think he might just be inside of the qualifying time. We'll have to see, as our previous bubble was 7:28, and we had 2 competitors there, and 2 times have gone faster since. So that likely adjusted the bubble time from the previous 7:28 up to a 7:27. So that's going to have to go down to the 1,000th as well if nobody can go faster in these last 2 heats. Section 22 of the boys 60. After this, we'll have the hurdles coming up on the infield. Good strong start. Rocking the hoodie is lane number 4, number 5, in fact, Robert Allen. It was Kirby Rose of Thomas Dale who rallied for the 2nd place finish. That ended up getting the win in the end, 7:43 over Robert Allen's 7:46. So far, it looks like that 7:27 100 to the 1,000th battle could very well play out once we determine who our finalists will be. But if somebody goes faster in this heat, then all of that could be irrelevant. Got a loaded field in heat number 23, including our 200-meter champion, Andy Nestorovsky from last night. Look out for him in lane number 4 for McDonough School. Uh-oh. He had to fire that gun twice. Let's see. Green card, that looks like a yellow card. We should be good to go either way, but looking a little bit deeper into Andy Nestorovsky, he dropped his 200-meter personal best by over 0.6 of a second, down from 22.80 indoors to a 22.18. Nestorovsky will be running collegiately for the Bears of Washington University in St. Louis. Once his days in a McDonough uniform are done, trying to showcase what he can do out of the blocks in a raw, straightaway sprint. Jeremiah Singleton of Monacan to his left and our right. Looked like Singleton got a better reaction, but Nestorovsky achieving that supreme top-end speed. Leaned maybe a smidge too early, but still goes 7:08. A little nod of the head by the senior from McDonough in approval of the time. He'll be on to the finals, and he knows it, with a chance to sweep the sprints here at the East Coast Invitational. Andy Nestorovsky just within 0.04 of Cameron Homer's leading time, as we will return for the 60-meter finals just past the 12:30 p.m. hour. That's over 2.5 from now, as we currently stand at 10:01. Next event on the track will be the 60-meter hurdles prelims. We will return for that very shortly from the East Coast Invitational at the Virginia Beach Sports Center. Carson Gabbaro saying, stick with us here on FloTrack. Girls 60-meter hurdles, the next event on the track at the East Coast Invitational. Looking to send our top 8 qualifiers from the next 7 prelims to the finals. Jaslyn Miller of Abingdon in 1, and 4, Tatiana Burns. In fact, Audrina Chu of Nansemond River, lane 6, Tyra Price of Oscar Smith, and Sanaa Brown of Riverdale Baptist on the outside in 7. Audriana Chu leading by nearly a full hurdle as she strides to the line. The 60-meter hurdle's a nice event at the high school level where, unlike the 55 hurdles, let's say if you're more of a raw, flat speed type of athlete, you've got extra distance between the last hurdle and the finish line to accelerate through. And so that's what we just got the chance to see from Chu. 9:46 her winning time. Tyra Price of Oscar Smith, was she in that 60 flat prelims? I don't think she was. She had made it last year. But this year, choosing to go for the hurdles. If we look at our hurdles bubble time from a year ago for the 60, on the girls' side, we're going to have to take a check on that. Because again, it's all about time for these prelims to finals. We saw a couple of instances yesterday in the collegiate 60s where they'd get the chance to advance by virtue of winning or placing second in their heat. But here, the idea is that you make it as a top 8 time qualifier. Last year, the bubble was 9:30 by Tiara Jenkins of Oscar Smith. Her teammate Tyra Price just outside of that in Heat 1. Heat 2 getting on the track next. Out of the blocks. Very even race between 4 and 5. That is Taylor Walker of Western Branch, just over Michaela D'Andrade from Monacan. 9:43 for Walker. Should be just ahead of Chu's winning time for the first heat. Just 5 sections remaining. Good way to set the tone. That Monacan runner you see, Michaela D'Andrade, took second. As we pivot back to the starting line, getting a chance to practice their starts. As you just saw bottom of the screen, we even got the triple jump happening. It's track and field, not just about what's happening on the tracks. And we'll see a number of our runners that participated in some of the sprints yesterday return for some field events as well. Just a field of 3 in heat number 3. Make that a heat of 4. Here comes Jasmine Gaines of Nansemond River. That'll be 2 heat wins for her school. Second place, a powerful finish across the line by, looked like Alana Galoch of Western Branch, but that was all Jasmine Gaines for the Warriors of Nansemond River. Our winning time, 9:58. It was Devin Sawyer confirmed the number 2 runner in that race from Ocean Lakes. On schedule, we had one of our heat winners from the 60 scheduled to appear in this, and there she is. Lane number 4, that's Anila Castro from McNamara, returning to the line. Carmi Boots of LC Bird there in 3. Kyra Weems of Louisa County in 2. Castro, with less than a half an hour of rest time, you'll have to wonder how she's feeling. 2 Monacan sprinting hurdlers to her outside, Sydney Williams and Nicolette Walker. In between them was scheduled to be Taylor Walker of Western Branch, but she is not out there. I believe she was one of the young ladies that made the 60-meter dash final, or at least participated in the prelims. She did not quite make the final in that, but still impressive to see our young Mustang Castro back out there on the hurdles. Anila will go 2 for 2 in her heats. Looked a little bit fatigued as she crossed the line, but still finished in 9:50. That's pretty up there as far as top times that we've seen thus far. So could she have made her way to both finals? That'd be very impressive if she managed to pull that off. With 3 heats to go. It's going to be interesting. One athlete that can now say that she's made the 60-meter final for 2 years in a row will line up in lane 4 in this section. That's Shakayla Lavender of Oscar Smith. She made it as the 5th fastest qualifier from the 60-meter dash and even advanced to the hurdles final last year as well, the reigning runner-up in 8:58. So Shakayla Lavender, one of the biggest players to watch indeed here at the East Coast Invitational. Preliminary section number 5. Lavender in lane 4 with a whole lot of Western Branch represented in the other lanes. Marina Purdue of Ocean Lakes in 6 as well. Pretty even between Lavender and Haley Laborde at the start that be. As Lavender pulls away, she wins by over a second, setting the new fastest time of 8:78. Shakayla Lavender, we know she's gone quicker at her very best, but the Chesapeake native showing that consistency just off of her season best that she achieved at VA Showcase of 8:62. She made the finals there, and she appears to be in position to make both finals once again at the East Coast Invitational. She is the reigning state champion over the high hurdles in Virginia after all. And she's got a big smile on her face knowing that she's gotten the hard part qualifying out of the way, now just has to execute in the finals. She also won states in the 300-meter hurdles and took 2nd in the 55 hurdles last year. That's as far as states goes. She even took 2nd in her race at Adidas Track Nationals last year. So a whole lot of credentials that Shakayla Lavender brings to the East Coast Invitational, setting us up for heat number 6. Who's to look out for in this heat but some more Oscar Smith? Tiara Jenkins running away once again, another 2nd-plus victory, 9.20. So now the Smith girls have the top 2 times in the compiled standings. Oscar Smith, a school known as the Tigers, repping for the 757 as we welcome on our 7th and final preliminary section. And we mentioned the Milrose games. It's hard to mention the girl in lane 4's name without mentioning her older sister, Olympic champion Masai Russell, who is scheduled to partake in the Milrose Championship 60-meter hurdles amongst some of the top female hurdlers worldwide. Masai Russell won a thrilling race at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix in Boston. And this is her younger sister, Soleil Russell, who we'll see running 4. She just took a practice start. Re-entering your frame now on the right. She'll be joined in lane 1 by Sanaya Jenkins of Smith, who looks to be a scratch. Layla Thomas of Western Branch in 2. Amira Laster of Padua Academy from Wilmington, Delaware in 3. Russell in 4. Alana Ellis of LC Bird in 5. Nevaeh Bryant of Oscar Smith in 6. And Mackenzie Atkins of Riverdale Baptist on the outside in 7. Soleil Russell, the big player to watch. She made the finals here last year at East Coast. We're going to go for time to punch her ticket once again. Slows up a little towards the line, goes 9:30 for the Heat 7 win. Soleil Russell from the Bullis School. could be looking to reverse fortunes from last year's finalist. She ended up placing 7th. Ended up racing with a few of her teammates, so knowing that she was just a freshman then, still a young sophomore now, her best hurdling days have yet to come. But she controlled that heat very nicely. They're going to raise the barriers and adjust them to the new positions for the boys in the 60H. The hurdle crew doing their duty on the infield. We've got just about 15 minutes remaining of our live preview. For those of you joining us on Facebook, YouTube, and X, we appreciate you for spending your morning with us. We encourage you to stick with us throughout the day. We're on FloTrack until the early evening. Looking at our first heat of boys in the 60 hurdle prelims. Again, just like the girls, the idea is to place top 8 on time over the next 5 heats. In lane number 3, we've got Brown Porter Macari of Western Branch. In lane 4, Chris Tangelo of the Bullis School. In lane 6, that is Colin Davis from Thomas Dale. And then Tyke Thompson from Abingdon. He'll line up 1 to his right in 7, it looks like, or not. Davis is the scratcher. It was scheduled to appear in lane number 5. It is actually Thompson, who you see with the Falcons jersey, who will be repping Abington in 6. And then Davis Marcel in that dark blue on the left. He'll be repping Western Branch in lane number 7. Western Branch in another Chesapeake school to be repped here at the East Coast Invitational. Maximilian Jimenez from Maggie Walker in the green on the right of your screen, the lone entrant that we've yet to name. He'll be in lane number 2. All about time to make that final. Brown Porter Macari had the best reaction to the gun. But he's being challenged by Chris Tangelo of Bullis School, who pulls ahead at hurdle number 5. Collects the Heat 1 win in 8:94. As for the bubble time that it took to make the final last year, that was an 8:74 by Kenyon Webb of McKinley Tech, who has since graduated. But 8:74. Look to see if these next heats can get close to that. Again, last year is irrelevant, but just giving you a sense of what to expect based on recent history. Section number 2, getting ready to go. We've got Vasquez, Trent, Beckton, Chapman, Gathambo, and Gomez. Your rough start list. Away cleanly. I'll tell you, Jasani Beckton from Nansemond River is absolutely locked in. 8:44 for Becton, the senior. Sonny Becton, who failed to make the finals last year as a junior, has put himself in prime position to advance in his 12th grade campaign. He was just 3 spots away from qualifying, so you have to think he was coming in with a great deal of revenge and chip on his shoulder. His fastest time this season, an 8:22. That's his personal best from the track 7.57 last chance meet held just a week before today. Get to see how he can execute once he gets to the finals. Just 3 heats remaining of these prelims. Some practice starts there. On screen, we've got John Barry of Abington and then Justin Stites of Hickory, wearing 7 and 6 respectively, trotting back to their starting blocks. Let's have a look at the qualifiers that we've seen thus far. The girls' qualifiers to the final. We had 8 advance. They have not been confirmed yet. Just had to take a check on that. We will update you as we get closer to that time, but we're going to focus on our next prelim for now. This is our 3rd section. After this, we'll be running the 500 once heat number 5 concludes. Look out for Musa Alpha from Riverdale Baptist. He won his 200-meter heat nicely last night. Tiago Johnson of Bishop McNamara on his inside in 3, and then Anthony Flores of Princess Anne to round up this field. Musa Alpha with that powerful early arm action. Had to stutter over the first barrier though, but he has since found his 3 to 4 step pattern, a ferocious lean at the line, really digging for that tape. He goes 9.12. Looks to have mixed emotions in his reaction, but he gets the heat win nonetheless. He should give himself a chance to advance to the finals. We do have our list of qualifiers for the girls' 60-meter hurdles. We have Michaela Andrade from Monacan, Jasmine Gaines of Nansemond River, Anila Castro from Bishop McNamara, Audrina Chu of Nansemond River, Taylor Walker of Western Branch, Soleil Russell of Bullis, Tiara Jenkins of Oscar Smith, and her teammate Shaquela Lavender, the reigning runner-up who will look to go for the gold in the girls' 60-meter finals coming at around 12:45 for the hurdles. Let's resume focus to the fellas, though. This is section number 4. No official bubble time just yet. So just got to go as fast as you can. AFAP, as fast as possible. Jakari Madison of Northview. Derek Harrell of Oscar Smith. And then Lincoln Baxter of Abington and Dalen Williams of Louisa County. It's a battle between 4 and 3. Derek Harrell, a little forward lean on that final hurdle through to the straightaway. 8:97, dipping beneath the 9-second barrier in this preliminary heat. Jakari Madison finishes just behind in 9:28 by a margin of 31 hundredths of a second. For our next event, this is heat number 5. We've got Messiah Lewis of KIPP DC College Prep in lane number 1. James Mann of James River in lane number 3. His teammate Trevor Curry in lane number 4. And then lanes 6 and 7 from Ocean Lakes and Freedman are Marino Purdue and Ryan Morrison. Trevor Curry, who you see in lane number 4 as we turn it over to the starter. Calling them to their marks. Trevor Curry, center of track, made the finals here last year. The second JR jersey on the left. Right center of screen, lane 4. Ended up placing 6th at last year's East Coast Invitational. His fastest clocking here was an 8:56. In his first 60-meter hurdles of the season, he gets a good start, edging ahead of his teammate. Really pumping those cheeks, trying to stay relaxed and composed. A very strongly executed race. Trevor Curry, 8:49. That's faster than he went in both of his runs last year, and he just tied his lifetime best. 8.49, and he ran that at Nationals last year. We're still in early February, and he's clocking sub 8.5 in the prelims at the East Coast Invitational. That's a way to set us up. That is the second fastest qualifying mark that we saw out of our 5 prelims. Stay tuned for the finals and the rest of the action on FloTrack as we continue coming back for the 500 meters in just a couple of minutes. Stick with us at the 62nd East Coast Invitational from Virginia Beach. .500-meter dash, an event that has seen a bit of a rise in popularity since the VA Showcase the last time we were here with you. As on the men's side, the young men's side at the high school level, it was arguably the event of the meet. We'll dive a little bit more into the significance of Andrew Salvadon's run later, but in the meantime, we got our first heat of girls led by Zoe Brooks of the Bullis School. We've also got Lauren Taylor, Carmen Johnson, Taylor Jenkins, Alana Runge, and Josie Jackson on schedule. All 6 are out there having broken in. Zoe Brooks sensed the pressure coming from Carmen Johnson right behind her and settles into the lead. Brooks, the senior from Potomac, Maryland, now getting a whole lot of onslaught on her outside. She's passed up at the bell lap. Carmen Johnson, the freshman from Ocean Lakes, being followed by Taylor Jenkins, it looks like, and then Josie Jackson up the back straightaway. Here goes Jenkins with hit number 4, and here comes Jackson with hit number 6. Brooks has seen all of these moves happen in the 100 meters preceding this current standing point, and she's trying to get them all back in the final 100 meters. But Taylor Jenkins looks mighty relaxed as she powers down the home straightaway. Brooks is back in second. Can she catch her? Taylor Jenkins wins. Taylor, 1:16.24 to 1:16.66. Very good times indeed. If you compare those to the seeding times that our athletes were entered with, pretty solid marks achieved indeed. Brooks was at 1:17.59 with her personal best. And Taylor, she was one of those unseeded athletes that just worked her way into that mix. That's what you got to do when you have the chance. Second heat of 8 on the track. They're releasing them pretty rapid fire with not much room in between as they break in. Hard fight for that rail. Janiah Ford of Jack Britt takes that early lead. Elizabeth Middlesworth trying to follow. She's on the back of this field in green. This is Rihanna Comer of LC Bird running in second. Now trying to move on the outside. In third, Eris Moore from Glen Allen. But it is still Janiah Ford from Jack Britt holding the advantage. Here comes Monica Sapikoff from Hickory in lane number 1. She's got that hip number to match in black kit. But nobody will be able to catch Janiah Ford of Jack Britt as she accelerates down the home straightaway. Just under 80 seconds here in 79.60. As the next heat gets underway, this is section 3 of 8. So far, a good start by Oscar Smith. And Brianna Delbridge, she runs out of lane number 4 for the Tigers. On the inside, her teammate, Anisha Hall, fighting it out with her, wearing that one on her left shoulder. She